What are the two most important indicators in the measurement of life? Repetition and forgiveness. It's a big, big thing to absorb, and at the same time, it is so simple. I will define indicators. I will define forgiveness and repetition. I will, at some point in this video, share what are like the 8 regions of life, you could call the wheel of life, and how you can apply repetition and forgiveness over every facet of your life to help you to pivot, to get out from where you are and to move forward to where you want to be. I know this to be true because I've done it myself. I've gone from being in a medium place to being in a place that I never thought possible. I came from having regular wealth, normal, everyday average, to more that I can spend in a lifetime. And I learned all of this at 28 and a half when I found out that my son was autistic and he was 2.5. Back in 1997, we didn't know about autism like we know now in 2025. And this is what I learned. The importance of repetition and forgiveness. Because if you're stuck and you feel lost in life, you're repeating the same thing. What I learned when I was repeating the same behavior is that I was unaware of the importance of forgiveness and how it had impacted my life. It impacted my relationship with my parents. It impacted in forgiving myself over something that I thought I was the cause of, like somehow I gave my son autism, which I did not. And that was a cross that I bared for decades until I realized. And then it improved my health. It improved my fitness. It improved my relationships. It improved how I showed up for myself, how I showed up for others. It improved my building of self-worth and self-esteem. It improved how I pursued things, how I maintained consistency and discipline, how I honored myself through the hundreds of failures. I was able to apply forgiveness, pivot, and move on to something else. And what I did in my late 40s was go get an education, become a life coach, and shared all of that through the lens of my life experience, that feminine lens, but also everything that I had experienced and shared with other people. If I could go through this and come to the other side, so can you. So let's define. The question or statement being, the two most important indicators, I took notes, for a successful life are forgiveness and repetition. What is an indicator? An indicator is something that shows what a situation is like, how it's changing, or the condition of something, such as a sign, a device, or a measurement. I'll give you an example of an indicator. When my son was 2.5, he was diagnosed with autism. He didn't really walk really well. One thing that I learned and I witnessed and I experienced through my son having a physical therapist, a speech therapist, and an occupational therapist is the importance of repetition and forgiveness, sticking through the plan, being consistent, and always focus on the big plan, because every day you get a little bit better, and it's measurable because every day you get a little bit better. And if you happen to fall back, you forgive yourself and you go, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Okay. And then when you become really good at self-awareness, you go, why was I not being good? And when you can answer those questions, girl, you can do anything. Second, repetition. The act of doing or saying something again and again and again. In 4 different areas of my life, I can say that I learned this the hard way. Before I go forward in sharing my story, let's talk about what is a life balance wheel. A life balance wheel is every facet of your life. And this is what it is, because I wrote it down so I could be very clear. It's your business, career, or studies. It's finance or wealth. It's health and fitness, social friends, family, parenting, romance and love, recreation and fun, personal growth, and spirituality. Do you see now how when I say repetition and forgiveness are the 2 indicators in measuring a successful life? Because in every single facet of your life, and I'm going to say it one more time, you can repeat it. You can also Google what is a wheel of life. Write it down for yourself. Because if you didn't know before, now you have it. Then you can measure, make something tangible, and improve the facets of your life that aren't going the way that you want them to go. So, the big wheel of life: business, career, or studies, finance and wealth, health and fitness, social friends, family, parenting, romance and love, recreation and fun, personal growth, and spiritual. When I understood how impactful my behavior is in my relationships, and most importantly, how I allowed access to other people to my life and how it impacted, all came from self-worth, self-esteem. When I recognized how low they both were and how they impacted the quality of my relationships, both friendship and love, girl, it changed how I saw everything. Because at the end of the day, as I say here so often in feminine spaces, your life begins and ends with you. When you take a 360 of your whole entire life, every single decision, action, non-action is all present in your life. Because at a certain point, I stopped blaming others and took a hard, honest look at myself and said, I don't like this. I don't want to be here. Just because I didn't learn this in my youth and my family environment doesn't mean I'm going to play victim to that and not learn what are the skills and tools I need in order to move my life forward in the direction that I want. And that is the importance of repetition and forgiveness. Forgiveness is understanding you made a mistake and it's okay. What are you going to do about it? That is the importance, because when you recognize repetition is, one more time, is the act of doing something again and again. And when you recognize that what you're doing is not getting you where you want, then the question is, what am I going to do differently? Because this isn't working. And then that's part of self-awareness. So then when you're doing that big 360 and you go, this isn't working for me, what do I want differently? Then it allows you to open yourself up and go, what is it that I can actually create to bring forth into my life with my own repetition, with my own planning, my own action that's going to allow me to improve the health of my relationships with my spouse. I remember the difference between my first and my second husband, and now my third husband, is that during my first husband, I didn't ask for my wants, my needs, and my desires. But I can tell you intrinsically within myself, when he was unfaithful to me, I strategically planned and got out in 6 months. You know what else I learned? Because I didn't have any money then. I was not financially independent. I learned the importance of finance and wealth and building that to ensure that I'm safe in whatever environment I am in because of myself. Repetition, forgiveness. When I recognize the importance of saving and putting money aside instead of just spending it and consuming it on fun things and living expenses, which is where we are now in life, and just living, then recognizing what can I do differently? What can I do more to ensure that I get out of this situation? And then plan accordingly to put me in the place of success for my own life. And this is what I'm sharing with you here within Feminine Spaces, because it is all about self-mastery. It is all about relationship wisdom, and it is all about conscious living. And I can tell you, repetition and forgiveness are the two most important indicators in the measurement of a successful life. Because your health and wellness, for example, we all know when we're gaining weight. All of us do. I know that several points in my life into my mid 50s, I hit 200 pounds. I'm 5'10". Sure, I can hold it. It didn't mean that I felt good in my body. It didn't mean that I didn't want to be a snug sausage in my clothes. What it meant is that I wasn't being disciplined and I wasn't being consistent. And I was repeating a behavior that was not conducive with my own personal values. What I recognized is that I didn't have all the information for myself. Sure, I was eating healthy. Sure, I was exercising. I wasn't doing the type of exercising that's going to allow me in my postmenopausal body to maintain what is good for myself. Not good for you, not good for anybody else, but good for myself. And I am consciously working back to my 170, because 170 pounds for being 5'10" is fantastic. I'm a perfect size 10. I feel good in my clothes. Most of the clothes in my closet are 10. Some of them are 12s. But then when I started squeezing out of a 12, then I started looking at my life, doing a 360 and going, what is impacting the quality of my life through lack of repetition, or through repetition in hiding from myself and not being honest, which is part of self-awareness. And when I was able to diagnose that within myself, then with repetition and a plan, I consistently, and I'm still consistently watching what I eat, exercising that's more conducive to my plan and what I want now. And slowly and surely, I'm consistently losing weight. In the last 3 months, I've lost 12 pounds. It didn't take me a day to gain 30 pounds. It's not going to take me 2 days to lose 30 pounds, right? Repetition and forgiveness, because I was hiding from myself. And that's the importance of repetition and forgiveness. All of us women go through chapters in our life. We have peaks, we have valleys. What you do when you're in that valley is one of 6 coping mechanisms. Mine happens to be eating. So it doesn't matter how magical my life is. It doesn't matter how wealthy and abundant and healthy I am. We all take things, on the chin when we're in that valley, or we don't. The most important thing is to remember the 2 important factors or indicators to a successful life are repetition and forgiveness. I forgave myself for abandoning myself, for self-abandonment. I forgave myself for not honoring and respecting the vessel that is my body. I forgave myself for not being honest and addressing the challenges that were present in my life, or letting go of the things that no longer serve me. I was still holding on to that trigger fact because last year my son got really sick and he almost died. It was horrible. And I can tell you that trigger of, I'm not a good mom, I did this in some way, was strong, girl. It was there. And I ate myself into that state. And then I recognized, what kind of bull crap story is that? It wasn't true. And I came out on the other side. That's what the beautiful thing is about self-awareness and being honest and accountable to yourself. Because whenever I share this with people that are not in my inner circle, but are a little bit out, They go, oh my God, but I look at you and I look at your life and you and your husband and where you live and how you live, and you're always traveling, and you have such great relationships with your children, and your life is so great. But you know what? It's not all the time. Sometimes there are difficult chapters in life that we all deal with. And that was my chapter. And when you're in those chapters, those triggers are a moment. And you know what? I don't have a very good relationship with one of my stepkids at this moment in time. I also know that does evolve and change because of repetition and forgiveness. So when you look at your life, and this I learned so much with the experience of my son, is that variable and the autism that he has is never going to change. How I show up to meet it is up to me. That wisdom that I gain through the relationship that I have with him has impacted 360 every other single facet of my life, because it helped me to recognize that I can do things above my ability, because ability is understanding what you can and you can't do, which is another thing that I learned with my son. Because I remember when they said he's never going to walk, he's never going to talk, he's never going to do anything. And I can tell you, when he was tying his shoes, I think he was 6 and 7, and his father and I, we weren't together, but we went back and forth. He went back and forth between his dad and I, and we were on a very strict food and discipline and how we engage with our son. And the most important thing, my philosophy with my son is always this: autism or not, you can do it with practice and discipline. If you can't do it, that's okay, but we're going to try. And if you can't do it after practice and repetition, then we'll let it go. It took him 150 times of trial and error before he learned to tie his shoe. My son eats everything. Why? Because I know, like relationships, where every single day you have 11 points of non-sexual contact to ensure you have a strong and loving relationship, the same thing happens with food. But food, at some point in the developmental years, up until 7, close to 11, touch point of food, your palates change. You try textures at different points in life, change. So you can try the food and try the food and try the food. And then you go, oh my God, this is good. But maybe 2 years ago, you didn't. Aside from allergies, because that's different, because I'm allergic to tomatoes and eggplants. Obviously, I'm not going to have that. But understanding that there's 11 points where you try something and then you like it. So just because your child doesn't like broccoli now doesn't mean that they won't like broccoli later. So that means you don't have to keep giving him chicken nuggets and French fries when they're 2 years old, because when we're completely acknowledging ourselves, we're introducing it into that circle of influence for not only our life, our child's life, which means it's going to affect how we think. It's going to affect our body composition. It's going to affect how we navigate the type of energy we have in the world. We're completely responsible for that. When you're 2 years old and your parents are giving it to you, nothing you can do about it. But when you're in your 20s, you're in complete control of what you put in your mouth and the exercise that you put in. And it's something that I have struggled with and have been in constant repetition and disciplined. And when I'm not, it shows up in my whole body composition. The same thing with my finances and wealth. I remember repetition, finance and wealth, putting $20 away every week, and then $100 a month, and then $200 a month. And before you know it, I had a nice little nest egg, which allowed me to put $10,000 on my first house. Is it going to happen? Yes, through consistency and discipline. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are in your life, you are the indicator for the success in your life. And the two factors are repetition and forgiveness. There are unspeakable things that I have experienced in my life, and forgiveness allowed me to remove myself and not be tethered to that situation, to recognize I didn't have anything to do with what was done to me. And by releasing that, it allowed me to live honestly and lovingly to myself and other people. Because part of vengeance is the hatred that fills you, that eats you alive because of someone else's actions. Why punish yourself more? Now, you might have to go to therapy or talk to some really good friends to be able to walk you through difficult moments in life, but do it, because that's the importance of social friends, right? Your social life, your friends. Is cultivating a group of friends. You don't need 50 of them. You just need 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Your solid group of friends that are with you no matter what. You need to be repetitive in contacts, in hanging out together and having those honest and thoughtful conversations. This is life management. If you want it, you got to be it. If you want to have that friend, you got to be that friend. And then reciprocity. If you happen to see after a period of time that the people you're with aren't treating you the way that you treat them, and vice versa, then it's time to cut. And that's forgiveness, because you recognize in these life moments that you have people that are not loyal as you are to them, and they don't show the same way. It's up to you to leave that in your life and allow it to accrue resentment and anger and frustrations towards the quality of your life, or let it go and forgive for them being able to do only what they're capable of doing. And that's also okay. You do the same thing with your parents. You do the same thing with your friends. You do the same things in your relationships. It's repetition and forgiveness. If you're in a relationship, you've been married for 20 years. You kind of lost track of each other. You lost that rule of 11 points of non-sexual contact in the course of the day to keep you going. Those cute little intimate notes, the loving gestures, the holding hands, the kiss, the hug that cultivates and builds intimacy. Having honest conversations about where you are in your life and what you want, and listening as your partner tells you where they are in life and where they want. If you don't communicate effectively, if you don't express your wants and needs and desires, oh my goodness, I learned that in my early 30s with my second husband, who taught me so much about effective communication. I wasn't good at it before. I didn't know how to be good at it before. So I forgave myself for what I didn't know. And then I was repetitive and taking the actions that's going to put me in the place of where I want to be. The life that I have now is absolutely reflective of the hard work that I've done, not only on myself, but also with the people that I love. If your life is a clear indicator of what you don't want, the question to take now is, what do you want? What are you willing to do for it? What actions, what repetitive actions and forgiveness are you going to have for yourself and those around you as you build and develop the life that you want? Because again, as I say so often here on Feminine Spaces, you are the beginning and end of your life. Your life is a culmination of the wheel of life. I'm going to say it for the third time. You ready? The wheel of life. You can Google it. Encompasses your business, career, and study decisions. It encompasses your finance and wealth decisions. It encompasses your health and fitness goals and decisions. It encompasses social friends, your social life and your friends, your goals and your decisions. It encompasses your family. It encompasses parenting. It encompasses romance and love. It encompasses recreation, fun, your personal growth, and spirituality. Everything in your life is a culmination of the decisions you make. How your life works is a culmination of the decisions that you make. One thing I learned through having an autistic son is that everything in my life is measurable by repetition and forgiveness. I trust this story time and shared evolution of life that I've experienced will impact and improve yours. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer. Know that you are never too late, that you can have everything you want in your life through that feminine lens of having self-mastery, relationship wisdom, and being conscious in how you live your life, which is everything that feminine spaces is. And what I shared with you is the ethos of how it came to be and how I'm here with you, sharing, building, developing community. Pussily Puss.